What's the biggest family secret you never meant to find? My parents used to call me their second chance and told me they'd had a son once, but the baby didn't make it and his name was Daniel, and they said it quietly, like the word could break something if spoken too loud. So I never asked questions and just became the child they could still have. I had to get good grades, have good manners, and make no mistakes, and that was my job, and I did it because I thought I owed them that. But everything changed when I met the boy who looked just like me. It was during a Saturday charity event at the local community center, and I was handing out water bottles when I noticed him, sitting near the registration table playing with a worn keychain. And something about his face and the way he smiled at nothing felt familiar, but I couldn't name it and I couldn't stop looking. I was still watching him when one of the older volunteers laughed and said his name, Danny, and it felt like cold water ran down my back because that was the name on the little ceramic angel statue in our hallway, the one I'd been told it belonged to a baby who never came home. I told myself it was just a coincidence, but 5 minutes later I was standing in the supply closet with my heart pounding against the mop bucket, wondering why I suddenly couldn't breathe. When I got home, I waited until my parents left for groceries, then pulled down the old photo albums they kept in the high cabinet, and they were mostly pictures of me. But near the back, I found a torn page with half a hospital bracelet and just enough to make out the letters, Dan. That night, I couldn't sleep, and I kept thinking about strange moments. The way they avoided the topic of their first house, or the look my mom gave me once when I said I wished I had a big brother. So I started digging, and eventually, I found it. Daniel Ramirez, born 7 years before me, not dead, but placed in a care facility 2 towns away. They didn't lose him, but hid him, and I didn't say anything at first because I couldn't. And every time my dad said he was proud, it felt wrong. And my mom's smiles looked fake, and I didn't know if they knew I knew, but I did. The next Saturday, I went back to the community center, and Danny was there, stacking folding chairs and humming a song, and I walked up to him like gravity was pulling me. I told him my name, and he looked at me for a bit too long, then smiled slowly, like he'd been waiting for this moment without hoping too much, and he told me he knew about me. He said when he was little, our parents used to visit, but not often, just enough for him to remember their faces, and they told him he had a baby sibling on the way, someone who'd be everything he couldn't, and then they stopped coming. He told me he kept a picture of our family in a shoebox and watched me from a distance at center events, but he didn't want to ruin my life by stepping into it. I stood there nodding like I understood, but I didn't, and my chest felt heavy. When I went home, I asked my parents why, and I didn't scream or cry, but just asked why. But my mom went quiet, and dad said it had been too hard, and Danny had needs they couldn't handle, and moving away gave everyone a fresh start, and they didn't tell me because they didn't want my life to feel smaller, and they said it was best and I should understand, but they never said sorry. That night, I packed a bag and left because I couldn't pretend anymore. The next morning, I met Danny at the park near his group home, and we sat on the swings like kids who never got the chance to grow up together, and we didn't say it, but we both knew it. I lost a lot that week, but I gained something real, and this time, I wasn't going to pretend he didn't exist.